You might be wondering what this ungodly mess of pixels on your screen is. And if you've seen the thumbnail and title, you know what this is. This is Kingdom Hearts 3 if it were to run on a Nintendo Switch. This is a mod that downgrades the graphical fidelity of this game. I'm just going to go into a random battle gate here while we play to match what it would look like if it ran on the Switch. When Melody of Memory was released, people were really hyped, and then I think the story so far also is on Switch. And people were expecting Kingdom Hearts 3 to come to the Switch, and obviously that was never a realistic thing. Also, I'm playing as Kingdom Hearts 1 Sora using the Buster Sword. Both of those mods are also linked down below in the description. I figured I might as well throw those in there, because why the fuck not? So, people were really hyped to see maybe Kingdom Hearts 3 come into the Switch, and first thing I said is that it's never gonna happen, because Kingdom Hearts 3... It probably just would not run on the Switch, like, at all. And this is roughly what it would have to be downgraded towards, as an approximation, of course, for it to run. And I kind of could eat my words. Yeah, it's nowhere near the graphical fidelity that a PlayStation 4 would have with it, obviously, or a PC, for that matter, nowadays. But this seems playable, especially in like handheld mode if you're not playing it on like a very big screen. This would be fine on a Switch, honestly. Yeah, it doesn't look great, but it's also a Switch and not a PlayStation 4. So I would be totally fine if a slightly better looking version than this, presumably, because there would be like a lot of smart people working on like optimizing shit. I would be fine with a Switch release of this, and I would very much probably like that, even though I don't have a Switch. Being able to play Kingdom Hearts on the go like that would be kind of neat. So, there's a second part to this mod, which we'll get to in a minute, because this mod comes with two different mods inside of it, really. You can choose. Do you want to have the graphical fidelity of the Switch, which is what you're looking at right now? But it also comes with a mod to change it to the PlayStation Vita, which is just insane, because that thing can barely like fucking run Orokin Trails. Okay, that's a little bit hyperbolic, but you know what I mean, right? It's not a very powerful machine at all. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how the PlayStation Vita version of Kingdom Hearts 3 would look. I'm fully expecting it to, like, I said, what is this garbled mess of pixels on my screen when we started this video. Probably now that you've been watching it for, how far are we in, like 3 minutes? It's probably, you've gotten used to it, right? It doesn't look that bad at all, yeah? Like this fucking next to no anti-aliasing going on here. And the textures and sprite work and stuff like that, where things are 2D, are definitely fairly low resolution as well. There's a lot of things going on here which makes it look like... Do you see those little orbs you get? Sure. Those little orbs you get at the end of the second form combo finisher? Those are supposed to be fully round, but they look like... Honestly, they don't even look like what they would look like on a Switch. Have you seen games on the Switch? I mean, Breath of the Wild looks gorgeous. Mario Odyssey looks gorgeous. I'm fairly certain that the Switch could do better than that. But there is still going to have to be a downgrade, especially on things like shading and stuff like that. And probably like high definition textures mostly are going to have to be downgraded. But even if it looked like this, again, I would be very much up for playing that. So I'm going to switch around. It does, okay, I should point out, it does sometimes absolutely tank your frame rate. That is not because my PC sucks, which, I mean, it doesn't really suck, but it's just, it's not the best of the best, right? These frame drops that you might be seeing, let's just randomly go over here. Yeah, it seems to, when it loads in new areas mostly, drop a lot of frames, and this suddenly feels very Kingdom Hearts 2, and I fucking love it. It reminds me more of Birth by Sleep, actually, which, again, I do think that... I don't know how this mod was created, right? If it was actually, like, calculated in any meaningful way, or if it's just an approximation of, let's just downgrade it to this bad, and that would be roughly the Switch. If there was actual calculations done on like the power of the hardware inside, ignore everything I'm about to say, but I do feel like there's next to no texturing here at all. Mostly just solid materials until you get really, really close. And yeah, the Switch is not a powerhouse. I feel like the Switch could do more than this. So if it is just an approximation, and I am right in that, I don't think it's a particularly amazing approximation of what the Switch could do. Let's go see what the PS Vita turns into. Maybe we'll fight Xehanort on the PS Vita version. How about that? Let's do that. And this is what it looked like on the PS Vita, which is actually just a garbled mess of pixels. I can't barely even see Sora, which admittedly might also be because I'm using a custom like modded model for Sora. But this is what it would look like on the PS Vita. It's quite horrible, isn't it? I just realized as well that there is a real good chance that, oh my god, the shading is horrible, that there's a real good chance that the pre-rendered cutscenes, which Kingdom Hearts 3 has at least like one or two a world, might not be affected by this as much. The game does actually scale its resolution, so it will be affected a little bit, but mostly it seems like this is done through shading, right? It just edits the shading to be more pixelated and less accurate and just faster to do, even though it drops frames. I don't quite understand how that works. Oh my god, Goofy is gold. I could barely even see the save point. Holy crap, this is so horrible. Admittedly, when games are developed for things like the PS Vita, obviously, map design has been taken into account to not be overly detailed, so that things like this doesn't happen. Because there's so much detail in all these 3D models that they just can't be properly shown off on this type of resolution. So that is a very interesting look into this type. Actually, let's just look at a cutscene real quick. Again, it absolutely destroys your frame rate. Don't pay too much attention to that right now. Yeah, it seems to really mess with the colors a lot. Other than Sora, I mean, in these closer-up shots, it looks like I'm watching a GIF, whatever you want to call it, animation, right? That's the kind of color depth that I'm getting here. It's literally I'm just going to call it a GIF. Because it is what is it? It's a graphical something. It is short for something. It's an acronym. That's literally what it feels like I'm watching here. And frankly, this is just really weird. Let's do a couple of fights here. I'm probably not going to do the entire Xehanort fight because it's going to take a while. I'm probably going to die sometime through the second part here. Or maybe even through the first part, because I've done this entire save file so that I can access every single world. But I haven't upgraded all my Keyblades to the max. I am fairly decently leveled. I think I'm level 42, 43, something like that. But as you can see, I am clearly losing quite a bit of health here. So let's go to second form. So I'll probably die. Wait a second. Who has the Buster Sword? Why does one of the Xehanorts also have a Buster Sword? Hold on a moment. The Buster Sword is the Kingdom Key. Oh, that's Xion. She also has the Buster. That is very, very funny. Actually, let's Ragnarok. I don't know if the shot lock also has been changed with the... It doesn't look like it has. Okay, that's good to know. I didn't realize that because the Kingdom Key, it's just the Kingdom Key model that has been swapped out, right? So every instance of the Kingdom Key in the entire game will be the Buster Sword. I didn't realize that. Usually these mods tend to overwrite the Elemental Decoder because it's the PC exclusive Keyblade, which is just a reskin of the Kingdom Key, but it looks like Mickey's Keyblade, but in black and white. This one actually overrides the Kingdom Key. It's one of the few ones that does that, and I didn't realize that because it is the Kingdom Key, there's multiple characters in this game with the Kingdom Key. I guess Roxas doesn't actually have the Kingdom Key in this. He has Oathkeeper and Oblivion. So presumably all the reskins for Oathkeeper and Oblivion, which there are a fair few of those at this point already, would also override Roxas's Keyblades. Huh. What'd you know? Okay, let's actually try to use some magic here, because that might work a little bit better. It's not. I'm fairly weak. I am surprisingly weak, as a matter of fact. What level am I? I could have sworn I was a decent level. You're supposed to be like level 45 to 50 to do this fight, and this is beginner mode. I don't know. Oh, because I'm just using fire, not fire regard. That probably is the reason why I'm not dealing any damage with my magic. That makes a lot of sense now. Anyway, as you can see, as we're playing, right, I've never seen this attack before. What the hell is this? I've never taken this long in this fight. As you can see, unlike when we were playing the Switch version, after a while you pretty much got used to the way the graphics looked in that. That's not going to happen here. You're not going to get used to it, because it is literally just like somebody buffed up a bunch of pixels on the screen and we're calling that a game now. That is literally what this is, and very much by design, I might add. I'm not knocking the mod creators here. As a matter of fact, I would say that I am complimenting them, because that is the entire point of this. The results definitely should also use Curaga, not just Cure, eh? That might not be the worst idea. I saw the other day that there's a Curaza ground magic command as well. That seems highly useless, because Curaga already fully heals you. I need to shot lock. I'm probably going to not even finish this fight, I'm going to be honest with you. Anyhow, we want to see a pre-rendered cutscene as well, so I might as well cut ahead to that now, because we're like 10 minutes into this video. I don't want to drag this out too much. I think you get the point. It looks real bad. There also is a mod, by the way, that will decrease your graphics beyond what the game lets you in a more productive way, to actually, if you have a slower PC, to be able to run the game properly. That's not what this does. This seems to look bad and increase the load on your PC, which is a combination you usually don't want unless you're doing it for like meme purposes, which this very much is. We're almost done with the fight, we might as well, right? I am so happy that in this game you can do Sonic Blade in the air, because in no other Kingdom Hearts game can you do that. Always when you use Sonic Blade, usually, you just go back down to the ground. And that's one thing Kingdom Hearts 3, I said that I was going to stop this fight, but now that we're almost done, might as well. That's one thing Kingdom Hearts 3 in general does really, really well, is mid-air combat, compared to every other game except maybe Dream Drop. Dream Drop also kind of did that. Kingdom Hearts 3 is the first like main series game. I know spin-offs don't exist in the Kingdom Hearts series because you need every single game and stuff like that. Let's go to the theater mode. I'm trying really hard to die by just mashing X, because usually that ends up getting you killed fairly quickly. I'm juggling the shit out of Xehanort, and he's literally just a blob of black pixels. Just figured I'd go ahead and show you that. Okay, so yeah, this is a pre-rendered cutscene, and it just still looks real good. It is a slightly lower resolution than it usually would be, obviously, because it's now running at like 600p, 480p, something like that, something weird. So it's always going to look a little bit worse, but it's still pre-rendered, so they can't really do too much with that. I was thinking maybe there's some kind of like pixelation filter on top, which would make it worse as well. Doesn't seem to be the case. Seems to be purely done through shading and obviously just lower resolution in general. So that is very interesting to see. That's been today's Mod Spotlight. If you want to torture your eyes, go ahead. I guess. I would very much like to see a shading like engine mod which gets closer to what the games used to look like in like Birth by Sleep and Kingdom Hearts 2, 3D, those kind of games. And I think the Switch one gets close to that, but I would like that in like 1080p. With not too much detail in all the textures, a little bit flatter shading. I love the way Kingdom Hearts 3 looks, don't get me wrong. I just would like the option for the nostalgia. You know, when the game first came out, when the first trailers were coming out, I was like, it looks good. But it's different. And it had a little uncanny valley to it. I think at least the Switch mod gets rid of that. To be fair, the Vita mod also gets rid of that, due to the very, very simple fact that everything just looks like pixels, so there's no uncanny valley there. I'll see you back next time. Bye.